Hello YouTube, this is the Java Programmer, and in this video I am going to refactor some code and talk about instruments. I'm not really going to write code in this video. I'm going to talk about the upcoming videos and the idea of an instrument. So this one you probably could skip if you'd like. There's not a whole lot going on. I will do a commit to the code for the refactor of the chart class, but without any further ado, let's get into it. In this video, I am doing a voiceover. As you can see, I'm refactoring this code. I realized that there's some code that's duplicate here, and so I wanted to put all that code together, call it generate dataset. You can see most of the code in the update method is duplicated in the initialize method. So here I come out the data set because it's only used in that one area, and that's what I'm going to return. So I will do a call to this method to get the data set. Also, this method needs the chart name, which is set in the initialize method. So once I have this method, I can I clean up the code a little bit, and I realize I can call that method, the generate dataset, passing in the bars. So there, and it really simplifies that update method. And then I look at the initialize method, and I do the same thing. So I call the generate dataset where I on the line there where I create the chart, and then the rest of the code there can basically go away. It simplifies the initialize method. Then I start looking at these other two chunks of code, and I realized that the frame setup and the plot setup could really go into methods of their own. Because the two do not really depend on each other. So I remove the variable that was global to the class, as it's not needed anymore. My one generate method needed that data variable. We'll see that the plot and my frame also go away. As I realize that these areas can be broken out. The only thing that the class really needs to share is that chart variable. So at this point, I start to I'm looking to figure out what it is that I want to do. So I create a method called initialize chart. It's going to pass in the chart. And I'm going to create another method called initialize frame, passing in the chart. And basically I'm going to put these two code chunks inside those methods. So first I create the initialize chart method, paste in that chunk. My mouse was behaving really bizarrely and it was scrolling up and down quite a bit. I decide to not pass in the chart, but the chart's already a shared variable across the whole class, so I don't need to pass it in. I grab the other chunk, put it in the init frame method, and I now have greatly simplified this class. Thought about putting that in the init chart, but I realized that I needed to pass in the bars. The bars were required. So I go ahead and pass those in to the init chart based on some bars. So the init chart actually creates the chart, sets all the options for it. Then the init frame creates the frame, sets its options. Just move some code around so that the update is very close to the constructor. And I believe that's pretty close. I do a quick run of the program, make sure that I didn't break anything. As you can see, there's the chart, and I wait to see an update on the bars there, and there's an update. I wait for one more update before I deem that this and there's an update. Price is going up, so everything still looks good, still works. So I'm pretty happy with the refactor of this class.
So I want to talk a minute about the concept of an instrument. And the best way that I know how to describe that is to show a picture of what an instrument would look like. Basically, an instrument would be a stock, a particular stock, or a particular Forex pair. It's something that's going to have a price and a history to it. And let me bring that onto the screen here. So here we are looking at the Euro Great British Pound. And you can see the red is the price as it, this is I think 1 year, so from January 2001 to December 2001. So this is a graph of the year, and it's the day. Every point on this graph, I believe, is a day. And so we have plotted here what's called the 30-day moving average. I think it's a simple moving average. And you can see that for the first part of this graph, the average is missing. So when you do in this case, a 30-day moving average, you have to take the first 30 data points, and those go into this first point, and then as you go to the next point, you drop off the first point, and so forth, and then you get your 30-day average. So the only way to plot a 30-day average is to have more than 30 points, and then you can actually do, quote-unquote, a moving average. So the instruments, the signals that we're interested in is when, like, the 20-day average crosses over the 50-day average, or crosses over going up, or crosses over going down. And those are the things we're going to need to know about a particular instrument. So we might want to say, well, when the 20-day average goes above the 50 or vice versa, we're going to buy or we're going to sell. The only way that we can get this data is that we've got to tie an instrument to history. And we've written the history method already in our code. We need a way to pull an instrument and then say, I want an array of the 30-day moving average, or I want an array of the 50-day moving average. We can test whether the last point in that array, which in this case would be like the December 2001, we can test if that point is above or below the other point. And then we can look at the last point before that and see if it was the same or if it crossed over. So that's the idea of an instrument. An instrument is going to be something that we are going to ask the brokerage client to give me an instrument. Now, the brokerage client has its own idea of what an instrument is, but we're going to further develop that idea. And when we ask for an instrument, we're going to be asking for, in this case, say the Euro GBP. And then the next thing we would do is we say, okay, I want the history, or I want the moving average, or I want the stochastics, or I want whatever indicator we want about that instrument. So this is the idea of an instrument. And so in the next set of videos, I'm going to be writing an instrument class as well as making use of this graph to be able to graph the moving averages on top of the bars, which is in the charts that we've already seen. That's my goal in the next, I'm going to guess maybe 5, maybe even 10 videos. I don't know how easy this is going to be, but we're going to introduce the concept of an instrument and how it's going to give us the ability to generate signals easily from that. So thanks for watching. This video has gone a bit long, but till next time, this is the Java Programmer.